The sun had barely begun to rise over the peaceful valley of Korath, a quiet colony planet in the outer systems. The soft light brushed against the spires of the alien city, making its smooth surfaces gleam in hues of silver and green. Children played near the central plaza, while adults went about their daily routines, tending gardens, repairing structures, or exchanging goods. Everything seemed calm, almost too calm, as if the universe itself had forgotten this quiet corner. But inside the training hall of the Planetary Defense Force, silence was replaced by tension. Rows of young alien recruits sat on raised platforms, their eyes fixed on a lone figure standing at the front. His armor was scratched and worn, his tall frame marked by scars and years of battle. The veteran's eyes, a sharp glimmer of silver, scanned the room, settling on each recruit with an intensity that made them shift uneasily in their seats. "Listen well," the veteran began, his voice deep and steady. "What I am about to tell you is not a story for the faint of heart. It is a warning. The humans are not like any enemy you have faced." A soft murmur ran through the recruits. Humans were a rare species in the galaxy, and most alien civilizations treated them with polite curiosity rather than fear. The idea that humans could pose a real threat seemed almost absurd. "I saw them for the first time 10 cycles ago," the veteran continued. "We thought them primitive, small, weak, and unorganized. But the first battle, proved we were very, very wrong." He paused, letting his words sink in. Some of the younger aliens leaned forward, eager to hear the story. Others looked around nervously, unsure if they wanted to know. The veteran smiled faintly, a sad smile. "It started at the Arendor front, a barren world of red rock and jagged mountains. Our fleet arrived, expecting little resistance. We thought the humans would scatter or surrender." The recruits exchanged glances. Many had read reports about humans' strange technologies and unpredictable behavior, but nothing compared to a first-hand account from a veteran. "Our scouts spotted them first," he said, lowering his voice slightly. "A few dozen humans with nothing but light armor and small ships. They had no massive war machines, no fleets of destroyers like ours. Just themselves." He shook his head. "We underestimated them. We sent in our drone swarms, expecting an easy victory. They laughed. They moved faster than our sensors could track, avoided the drones, and destroyed them using weapons that seemed..." The veteran's tone grew grim. It was not just their weapons. It was how they fought. Humans adapted instantly. Each time we tried a new tactic, they countered it within minutes. Every trick we had learned over hundreds of cycles failed. One young recruit raised a hand, hesitantly. "Sir? How is that possible? Our technology is older, but much larger and more powerful. How could so few humans stop you?" The veteran's eyes darkened. "They are not powerful in the way we are used to thinking. Their power comes from their minds, their will, and their ability to think differently. They do not fight the way we do. They see the battlefield in ways we cannot. And they never give up." He leaned forward slightly, lowering his voice to a near whisper. "I watched them turn a cratered battlefield into their advantage. They used rocks, tunnels, and wreckage as weapons. They set traps we didn't even notice until it was too late. They worked together, saving each other, never leaving anyone behind. I had fought many enemies, but never one that thought like humans." A hush fell over the room. Even the youngest recruits, who had only trained against simulations, could feel the weight of his words. "The first real battle came when we sent in our main forces. Hundreds of ships, thousands of soldiers. We expected to crush them quickly." The veteran shook his head, almost in disbelief. "Instead, we faced something terrifying." He took a deep breath, as if reliving the memory. "The humans didn't just defend, they attacked. They attacked our ships, our supply lines, our very minds. Every move we made, they predicted. Every weakness we tried to exploit, they turned against us. Entire units of our forces were trapped in situations we never imagined. The Arendor front became a nightmare for us. The veterans' hands clenched. And yet, they were fewer than 1,000. We had tens of thousands. And still, they fought like they were invincible. Their courage, it was maddening. A young recruit whispered to another, "Invincible? How can a species be invincible?" The veteran heard it and smiled grimly. "Not invincible in the way you think. They die like any other species, but their spirit, that cannot be killed. You can destroy their ships, their weapons, even some of their leaders, but their determination spreads, like fire. You fight one, and another rises. You win one battle, and the humans learn 10 new ways to beat you the next time." He paused, looking out the window at the valley below. The sunlight reflected off the smooth surfaces of the city, making it look peaceful, almost fragile. I remember a moment during the battle that haunts me still. Our commander had ordered an all-out attack. We thought it would finally break them. Our fleet swept across the mountains. Their defenses seemed weak, but then, the veteran shook his head slowly. Then the humans appeared where they shouldn't have been. They launched small fighters from hidden valleys, coordinated perfectly. Our ships fell one by one. Our soldiers were trapped in terrain we considered unimportant. It was like they knew our minds before we did. He turned to the recruits, his silver eyes glinting. "I tell you this not to frighten you. I tell you this so you will understand that fear is not always a weakness. Sometimes, it is a guide. When humans are involved, you will face fear at every turn. But it is also a challenge. And challenges are meant to be overcome." The young aliens leaned in, captivated. None of them had ever heard such an account. They had trained for years, learned the art of war, and thought they were ready for anything. But this story made them realize that there were enemies no training could fully prepare them for. The veteran continued, "Our leaders tried every known tactic. We sent in our largest mechs, our heaviest artillery, even chemical suppressors. Nothing worked. The humans moved faster, adapted smarter, and fought with courage we could not comprehend. We were forced to retreat." He let the words hang in the air. The room was silent, the recruits absorbing the weight of his confession. "We retreated, yes, but we learned something vital. Humans are not to be underestimated. You may think you are ready for any battle, but nothing in your simulations can prepare you for the ingenuity and bravery of humans." A young recruit finally found the courage to ask, "Sir, what happened next?" The veteran's gaze turned distant. "Next, we regrouped. We learned. And we planned for the humans' next move. Because they are not just soldiers. They are problem solvers. They see the impossible and make it possible. And that is why the human warfront was terrifying." He stood silently for a moment, letting the recruits reflect. Outside, the valley continued its quiet life, unaware of the horrors that had occurred light years away. But inside the hall, every young alien knew that the universe held a force they could not ignore. The veteran finally spoke again, his voice calm but firm. "Remember this story, not to fear the humans, but to respect them, learn from them, and one day, if you face them, you must be ready to think beyond the rules, beyond the expected. The humans have shown us that survival is not about size or strength. It is about heart, creativity, and courage." He straightened his back, the scars on his armor catching the light. "And now, recruits, you must train not just your bodies, but your minds, because when the humans arrive, the universe will remember their name." The hall remained quiet. The young aliens could feel the weight of history pressing down on them, a mixture of fear and awe. Some were frightened, others inspired, but all of them understood one truth. The galaxy had changed the day humans joined the war, and far away, on a distant battlefield, the humans continued to move forward, unaware that they had already become legends in the eyes of those who once thought they were safe. The red skies of Arendor burned with the light of battle. Jagged mountains cast long shadows over the scarred surface, where craters and wreckage littered the landscape. Smoke rose in thick clouds, carried by the sharp winds, and the distant thunder of explosions echoed across the valleys. For the alien forces, the battlefield was terrifying, a place where every decision could be their last. The veteran alien soldier had been on the front line for months. He had seen many enemies, but nothing compared to the humans. He stood behind a ridge, observing as a squad of human soldiers advanced with a calm that seemed almost impossible. Their movements were precise, yet flexible. They ran over rocky terrain, ducked under debris, and climbed sheer cliffs with a speed that made the veteran's head spin. "They are small in number," he muttered to himself, "but every one of them is dangerous." The humans carried light weapons, far weaker than the alien heavy guns, yet they used them in ways the veteran could not have predicted. One soldier climbed to the top of a broken tower and fired a precise shot at the control panel of an alien walker. The giant machine toppled like a toy, crushing several of his comrades beneath it. The veteran's jaw tightened. Humans had no fear of risk. Every action was calculated. But every human also knew how to take chances. He remembered the first time he realized humans were more than just clever soldiers. It had been a night raid. Alien patrols were stationed in tunnels under the mountains, confident that no one could breach their defenses. Yet, as darkness fell, humans appeared in the tunnels as if they had been there all along. "They used the tunnels better than we ever imagined," the veteran recalled. "They blocked entrances, set traps, and moved silently. We lost half a patrol before we even knew they were there." The veteran's eyes narrowed as he remembered the human tactics. Unlike most enemies who relied on numbers, brute force, or predictable maneuvers, humans adapted. If the aliens changed their approach, humans changed faster. If a plan failed, they invented a new one within moments. "What is their secret?" a fellow alien had asked him during a briefing. The veteran's answer had been simple, though it haunted him. "They never stop thinking. And they never stop fighting. Fear exists for them, but it never controls them." By mid-cycle, the alien high command had learned a painful truth. Humans were not just survivors. They were teachers of war. Every encounter, every skirmish, left the aliens with new lessons. And yet, every lesson came with a price. Hundreds of alien soldiers had fallen to humans who moved like shadows, struck like lightning, and disappeared before the response could be organized. The veteran remembered one particularly striking event. A squad of human soldiers had been surrounded on a cliffside by 3 alien battalions. Conventional wisdom dictated that they would be annihilated in minutes. But instead of panic, the humans used the terrain to their advantage. Rocks were dislodged to block enemy paths, small explosives were placed with surgical precision, and communication between them was silent, almost instinctive. The aliens believed it was impossible for such a small force to survive, the veteran said later, recounting the moment. And yet, they survived. Not only that, they turned the attack back on the aliens. By the time reinforcements arrived, half the enemy battalions were trapped, retreating in confusion. The lesson was clear. Humans did not fight, like the veteran or his comrades. They used creativity as a weapon, improvisation as armor, and determination as a shield. And worst of all for the alien forces, they learned quickly. Every human encounter left the aliens weaker, not because of raw power, but because their strategies were copied, anticipated, and reversed. The veteran's memory drifted to the most daring human action he had witnessed. It was a massive assault on an alien supply base. The humans had fewer than 50 soldiers. The base was defended by thousands. Conventional logic said the humans would die before reaching the inner chambers, but the humans approached differently. They split into small units, each taking a hidden path. Some created distractions, others disabled security systems silently. One group infiltrated the command center, while another sabotaged weapon storage. Within hours, the base was in chaos. The humans had achieved more than a battalion of aliens could have hoped to do in days. They fight with their minds as much as with their bodies, the veteran muttered. And they never give up. Even when the odds are impossible, they keep trying. That is their greatest weapon. He had begun to understand why the humans never surrendered. Even in hopeless situations, fear existed. Yes, but it was never allowed to stop them. Each human seemed to see opportunity where others saw death. Each setback became a lesson. Each failure, a plan for the next moment. The veterans' squad moved cautiously across the battlefield. They had been ordered to scout a ridge overlooking the main human encampment. From the height, they could see dozens of human tents and temporary structures, a small army preparing for the next assault. "They're fewer than we are," one of the younger soldiers whispered nervously. "Shouldn't we attack now?" The veteran shook his head. "If we attack, they will turn it against us. Watch first. Learn. They are teaching us something, whether we want to or not." Hours passed as the veteran observed the humans. He saw engineers repairing damaged vehicles, medics tending to the wounded, and soldiers training tirelessly, even under fire. Every human seemed alert, calculating, ready for anything. And yet, there was something more, something almost impossible to describe. Courage, a bravery that did not depend on weapons, rank, or numbers, but on an inner strength that radiated from them like a force of nature. Suddenly, the humans moved. A small squad had left the main camp, carrying nothing but basic weapons and equipment. They approached an alien observation tower, heavily guarded by automated defenses. Conventional tactics would have required dozens of alien soldiers to defend it. Yet, within moments, the humans disabled the defenses, climbed the tower, and neutralized the guards without a single human casualty. The veteran felt a shiver run down his spine. "This is no ordinary army," he whispered. This is something we have never seen before." He remembered reporting the incident to his commander. The briefing room was filled with alien officers, all shocked and disbelieving. "Fewer than 20 humans did this," one officer demanded. "Yes," the veteran replied, "and they moved like one mind. Each action predicted the next. It is not just skill. It is coordination, courage, and intelligence combined. We cannot defeat them with numbers alone. We need to understand them. And even then, it may not be enough." The following days were filled with skirmishes, ambushes, and counterattacks. The humans never stayed in one place for long. They struck where the aliens least expected, using the environment as a weapon and their ingenuity as armor. Each encounter ended with the alien forces in retreat, humiliated and exhausted. And yet, the veteran could not help but feel a strange respect for the humans. He had fought alongside many species, seen many wars, and yet he had never encountered soldiers with such relentless determination. They were clever, courageous, and terrifying all at once. One night, as the veteran sat by a small fire, he thought about the lesson the humans were teaching. The universe was full of power, technology, and strength, but none of that mattered as much as willpower, creativity, and unity. Humans embodied all three in ways the veteran had never seen. He looked up at the red sky, lit by distant explosions, and spoke softly to himself. "They are not monsters. They are not invincible, but they are humans. And humans are something else entirely." By the end of the cycle, the veterans' unit had been forced to retreat again. But this time, they were not just fleeing, they were learning. Every maneuver, every tactic, every human action was carefully recorded. They knew they would face the humans again. And when they did, they would need more than firepower. They would need to think like the humans, adapt like the humans, and hope they were quick enough. The veteran returned to the observation ridge one last time before leaving. Below, he saw the humans gathering around a makeshift command post. They were tired, but alert. Injured soldiers laughed and joked with each other, while engineers repaired vehicles that would soon be sent back into the fray. And in that moment, the veteran understood the terrifying truth. It was not weapons or numbers that made humans dangerous. It was their spirit. Their courage was a weapon, their intelligence a shield, and their unity a force no alien army could easily break. And for the first time, the veteran realized something he had never admitted before. The humans were not just soldiers. They were legends in the making. As he turned to leave the ridge, he whispered, almost to himself, "If the universe remembers only one species for courage, it will remember humans." The alien recruits listening to his story would later say that this part of the war haunted them the most. It was not the fire, the explosions, or the fallen soldiers that terrified them, it was the humans themselves. A small species with an unbreakable will, capable of turning the tide of battles with nothing but ingenuity, courage, and unity. And somewhere across the galaxy, the humans continued their march, unaware that every alien soldier who faced them would carry stories of fear, awe, and respect for generations to come. The alien homeworld of Zorath was a planet of steel mountains, swirling storms, and fortified cities built to withstand centuries of war. From orbit, the veteran could see the sprawling capital, its towers piercing the clouds, the streets lined with armored vehicles and defensive weapons. The alien high command had grown confident. After months of skirmishes on outer planets, they believed that humans could be contained, that their ingenuity could be matched, their spirit finally broken. But the veteran knew better. He had seen what humans were capable of. He had witnessed their courage, their intelligence, and the way they turned hopeless situations into victories. And now, as he observed the alien homeworld from a ridge overlooking the plains, he felt a familiar unease. This battle would be different. The humans were coming, and they would strike not just at forces, but at the very heart of the alien empire. The first human ships appeared at dawn, small, fast, and almost invisible against the red haze of the atmosphere. Alien radar detected them, but by the time the command calculated a response, the humans were already descending toward strategic points across the planet. The veteran watched, heart pounding, as humans dispersed into squads, moving with the precision of a well-oiled machine, yet with the freedom of creatures who followed instinct and creativity equally. "They move like shadows," he whispered. "And yet they are everywhere at once." Alien sensors lit up with alerts. Defensive batteries fired, aiming at human positions. But humans were already gone, replaced by a new threat somewhere else. One group scaled the cliffs near the military command center, using grappling equipment and climbing tools the aliens had never imagined. Another group infiltrated a weapons depot, neutralizing automated defenses silently. Every move was unexpected, every tactic revolutionary. The veterans' unit had been assigned to defend the central transport hub, a key supply line for the alien forces. As he and his squad prepared, he realized that this was not a normal battle. Humans were not just attacking, they were teaching the aliens about their limitations, exposing weaknesses that had gone unnoticed for centuries. The first contact came with a thunderous explosion. A small human squad had detonated charges in the tunnels beneath the transport hub, causing chaos among the alien soldiers stationed there. The veteran ran toward the source, dodging falling debris and shrapnel. As he reached the tunnels, he saw humans moving with extraordinary speed and coordination. Each soldier seemed to know the exact position of the aliens, the traps, and even the safest path to strike. "They are not afraid of anything," one young alien whispered beside him. "How can they be so calm?" The veteran shook his head. "It is not calm," he said. "It is focus. They know what they can do, and they do it without hesitation. That is what makes them terrifying." The battle raged across the city. Alien forces, expecting a traditional assault, were caught off guard at every turn. Humans used the environment as a weapon, rerouting energy flows to disable defense systems, collapsing bridges to trap enemy units, and creating diversions that pulled soldiers into ambushes. Every engagement ended with humans either winning or retreating in perfect formation, leaving alien forces bewildered and demoralized. The veteran had never felt such helplessness in battle, yet he also could not help but admire the humans. They were clever, courageous, and relentless. Even when injured, they continued to fight. Even when outnumbered, they found ways to turn the odds in their favor. One of the most remarkable moments came when a human squad infiltrated the alien command center itself. They carried minimal weapons, yet their strategy was brilliant. They disabled communication networks, confused the high command with false signals, and released units that disrupted the defensive grid. Within hours, the once formidable command center was in chaos. The veteran watched from a distance, heart pounding. "They are not just soldiers," he muttered. They are problem solvers, strategists, and survivors all at once, and they are unstoppable because they never give up. Alien soldiers began to retreat, realizing that their superior numbers and technology were no match for the humans' adaptability. Even the veteran, a hardened warrior who had fought in countless battles, could only marvel at the humans' coordination. They moved like a single organism, each action supporting the next. Each decision carefully considered, but executed with speed and precision. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, the humans advanced toward the central fortress. The veteran observed their movements, noting how they avoided traps, disabled automated defenses, and rescued injured comrades without hesitation. Every step was calculated, yet unpredictable. Every action carried the mark of ingenuity and courage. By mid-cycle, the alien high command realized that the humans were not just attacking, they were teaching. Every move exposed weaknesses. Every maneuver forced the aliens to rethink their strategies. The veteran, watching from a ridge, understood the deeper lesson. This was not merely a battle for territory or resources. It was a battle of spirit, of intellect, of the very way one species approached life and survival. The turning point came when humans launched a coordinated assault on the central fortress gates. Alien defenses were strong, but humans used decoys, distractions, and synchronized strikes to bypass them. One human soldier scaled the gate walls, while another disabled the control mechanisms from below. Explosives were placed strategically, not to destroy, but to create openings. Within hours, the fortress gates were breached. The veteran felt a mixture of awe and fear. He had fought many battles, yet none had left him so deeply impressed and so unsettled. Humans were not the strongest, not the largest, not the most advanced, but they had something that no alien force could match: courage, creativity, and unity. Inside the fortress, the human squad moved swiftly, disabling defenses and neutralizing key targets. They avoided unnecessary destruction, focusing on efficiency and strategy. Every move was precise, every action deliberate. The veteran watched, realizing that this was why humans had survived countless conflicts against overwhelming odds. Their strength was not just in weapons, but in their minds and hearts. By nightfall, the central fortress was under human control. Alien forces were in retreat, their morale shattered, their confidence shaken. The veteran walked among the remnants of the battlefield, seeing soldiers injured, exhausted, and bewildered by what had just occurred. He thought of the first battle he had witnessed, the humans on Arendor, and realized that nothing in the galaxy could have prepared them for this display of ingenuity and courage. He paused and looked up at the stars, thinking of the humans who had fought with him. They were not monsters, not invincible, but something else entirely. They were survivors, problem solvers, and warriors whose spirit could not be broken. And that spirit, he understood, was more powerful than any weapon, more enduring than any fortress, more unstoppable than any army. The veteran returned to his command unit, his mind heavy with the lessons of the day. He would tell the recruits of Zorath about this battle, about the humans who had turned the tide with nothing but courage and intellect. He would teach them to respect the humans, to learn from them, and to understand that the galaxy had changed the day humans arrived on the war front. As he addressed the young soldiers later that cycle, he said, "Remember this. You will face enemies with technology, numbers, and firepower, but never underestimate the power of courage, creativity, and unity. Humans have shown us that these qualities are the greatest weapons of all. You may not fight them directly, but the lesson they leave is more important than any battle. Adapt, think, and never give up. That is how we survive. That is how we honor our victories." The young recruits listened in silence, eyes wide with wonder. They had never seen humans, yet the stories of the veteran painted a picture so vivid, it felt real. They understood that the universe was full of dangers, but also full of hope. Humans had proven that spirit, determination, and intellect could overcome any obstacle. Meanwhile, far across the galaxy, the human forces continued their campaigns. They had won the battle on Zorath, but they fought not for glory or conquest. They fought because they believed in survival, in helping each other, and in doing what was right. Their courage and creativity left an impression on every species they encountered, changing the way civilizations thought about war, strength, and heroism. The veteran stood on the ridge once more, looking at the horizon where the sun dipped behind jagged mountains. He felt a deep sense of respect and awe for the humans. They had not only won battles, they had taught lessons that would last for generations, and in that moment, he realized the full truth. The humans were terrifying, not because they destroyed armies, but because they inspired fear through courage, ingenuity, and determination. They were small in number, but mighty in spirit. They were not invincible, but their spirit was unbreakable. They were humans, and that was enough to change the galaxy forever. As he returned to the alien city, the veteran knew that this story would be told for cycles to come. The humans had shown that even in the darkest times, with impossible odds, the unbreakable spirit of one species could rewrite the rules of war. And for the first time in his long life of battle, he felt something he had never felt before: hope. The galaxy had seen the terrifying human war front, and every alien soldier who faced them carried the lesson in their heart. Courage, creativity, and unity are stronger than any weapon. The humans had arrived, and they had already changed everything.